Welcome to today's M.I.L.F, Mother and Life Flourishing. Hey guys, it's Sydney Michelle, and this is the unapologetic space where modern motherhood and womanhood meets confidence, purpose, and power. We are deciding to flourish first and mother always. So, for our very first episode, I'll call it 1.5. The episode 1 that I published last week was not even supposed to be an episode. Like I said in that episode, I was just put on my heart, put on my spirit, and I felt like that needed to be the first episode that I shared. So this is actually what was originally supposed to be episode 1, but I'm just going to call it episode 1.5 because it's just a little bit of a continuation. So anyways, today I want to talk about something real, something raw, something every mom and woman faces but doesn't always say out loud. It's accepting where you are and figuring out who the hell you are now. So go ahead, grab that mug, cup of coffee, glass of wine, that cocktail, that mocktail. Y'all don't know me that well yet, but you will. And knowing me, you'll know that I'm a bourbon girly, but I also love a good glass of Cabernet. So I'm going to go ahead and pour my glass right now. Whatever you're feeling, remember you deserve this time. Let's get into it. First, I want to touch on and give you a little bit of me. I'm Sydney Michelle, like you all have known and know. I'm a 31-year-old mother of 4, 3 under 4. Well, actually, now 3 under 5. My son just turned 5. And I'm a full-time stepmother to a 14-year-old girl. I'm a wife, a friend, a sister, and a daughter. I have long struggled with my identity post-kids, especially since I became a stepmom at the age of 20, and honestly a full-time one. Full-time meaning my stepdaughter was living with my husband and I at 22. So in the time I was really coming into my own, I was also putting certain things to the side for the betterment of her. But that story will come at a later date, I'm sure. So, okay, let's be honest. Life before kids, you had an identity, dreams, passions, a rhythm. And then motherhood comes in like a whirlwind. It's beautiful, it's messy, it's exhausting, life-changing, but it can leave you wondering, and still leaves me wondering, where did I go and who am I now? I had my life planned out. I was going to graduate, meet the man of my dreams, get married, have kids, just be happy and wealthy, honey, okay? If only it were that simple, right? Don't get me wrong, I graduated, still met the man of my dreams, got a glimpse of my passion, and while I technically have gotten what I asked for on the surface, I didn't know the cost of everything. Some of the things I wanted and still want, of course, come at a price. The things I've gotten came at a price, always a price of something for something, right? So not necessarily a bad price, but nonetheless a price. Time, sacrifice of time, of myself, of my wants, etc. All I know is as a stepmom, my life was turned on its side. But once I started having kids of my own, girl, my life just completely flipped, okay? Like, it's not on the side anymore. It's not even upside down. I don't even know where I'm at, but my life is crazy. So, backtrack. Right before I had my first son, I had a fashion show in New York Fashion Week during the fall, right? So it was a little bit before COVID happened. We were living in New Jersey. I just graduated from Parsons with a fashion design degree. And, everything that I wanted was coming together, right? So if you're an aspiring designer, musician, or, anything, just to see your creativity and your vision come to fruition and something tangible is just mind-blowing. It's beautiful. So being able to put together a collection and showcase it during New York Fashion Week during the fall blew my mind. Like, I was beside myself. It was everything I had dreamt of and everything that I worked so hard to achieve. I was ready for the next level. I was ready, to figure out how to get my designs manufactured, all the things, the boutiques, all the things. People love my designs and everything. And then here comes the pandemic. Like I said, the fashion show is pre-pandemic. And from the pandemic came Hudson, my beautiful little boy who is now 5, which is just crazy to think about. But as you can imagine, life changed after having him. So, of course, we planned him and everything. Let me backtrack. We planned Hudson. He was not a surprise. But I had no idea how much my life would change after he got here, right? So, y'all, my sewing and designing came to a screeching halt. I had no time. I had no energy. And then a year later, we welcomed our twins, Hunter and Harley. And while I say all this, I don't want it to come across as I regret having my kids, because I don't. I think, honestly, they have made me into a better woman and a better person. And they push me past what I think are my limits daily. And of course, I would do anything for them. But after having them, I have felt a little empty when it comes to who is Sydney, right? So Sydney is a mom, she's a wife, she's a friend. But what gets her excited now? Like, what are my passions? What do I love? What are your passions? What do you love? I know I can't really fully answer those questions. I don't know. But I am starting to take active steps in trying to figure it out. And I'm determined to, actually, at this point. Like I said in my last episode, like, this year is personal for me. And I think with everything that 2025 had and threw at me, it made it very clear that I have to figure out what my passions are and what fills my cup. And quite honestly, I owe it to myself, and you do too. We deserve to fill our cups. We deserve to have passions outside of our kids and outside of our kids' sports and their recitals and their clubs and activities, all their things. Well, that's great too. And I love seeing moms show up for their kids. And my kids are still toddlers aside from the teenagers. So I'm not really having to show up in that space. So I think for me especially, this is the time that I really need to like do a deep dive and be like, Sydney, like, what are your passions? Because you have to have them. Like, we all have them. Motherhood just kind of made us take a little detour, but it's time for us to get back to them. So here's the truth. You are not the same woman you were before having kids. And that's not a bad thing. That's growth, right? That's transformation. And with all of that growth and transformation, there is an exciting part that comes from it. And it's being able to accept where you are right now and understanding that that doesn't mean that you're settling. It means that it's time, to change your mindset. And while, we're always going to show up for our kids, it's also time for us to show up for ourselves. So what that means is we are now deciding to say, this is my season, this is my body, this is my energy, and this is my truth. And quite frankly, while we're trying to figure it out, there's no rush. Like, there is no rush for us to be like, you know what, these are my passions, X, Y, and Z. I have to immediately start feeding into them. Like, for me, my passion was, and I feel like still is, design. And the more I think about it now, fashion design was my passion, right? Before having kids, it was fashion design. I love sketching. I didn't love sewing, but I could sew. So I could sketch out my designs, go get the fabric I wanted, and, take it from paper to something tangible, which I loved. But I think now being 31, going on 32, and kind of how your passions kind of change a little bit. While I love fashion in another sense. And instead of, right now dressing people or making clothes for people, I think a passion of mine could be interior design. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. It's a day by day conversation with myself. But I think that's where we have to start. We have to start having those conversations with ourselves in order to start to get to the bottom of what our true passions are. Because we honestly don't really have the time to feed into like flyby passions, which are just like random, I don't know, I guess random ideas that jump into our head, especially as a mother, but also even if you're not a mom, like I'm sure you have a job, you're doing your things, you could be married, you could be in a serious relationship. So regardless of what your situation is, we have to be intentional and mindful of where we spend our energy and where we spend our time. So just like anything you go through, motherhood adds layers. Just like living life does. As I said, motherhood is my identity or part of my identity and, the newest chapter I've entered. But even if you haven't entered motherhood, I'm sure you can recall things that have changed you. Some things have changed you for the better. Some things have changed you for the worse. Or not the worst. Sorry, that was very pessimistic. Some things have changed you for the better. Everything changes you for the better. But some of the things we had to go through in order to get to the better weren't that pleasant. So not for the worse, it's all for the better. But the things you went through could have been pretty bad. And I would love to hear if you're willing to share some of those things and like where you are. But like I said, motherhood adds layers just like living life does. And these layers don't erase you. And figuring out who you are now, that's the exciting part. Like we get to rediscover who we are. Like how lucky are we in as a people and just women and, who we were yesterday doesn't even have to be who we are today. You can redefine yourself and rediscover your passions whenever you choose to, which is such an exciting thing because it's like you don't even know your full capabilities. And I think that's so exciting to try and figure that out and push yourself to those limits to figure it out. So maybe you're chasing new dreams like me, or maybe you're just learning to sit with yourself and say, I'm enough right now, right here. And that's okay too. There's so much power in just being. There's so much power in just being. So if that's the stage that you're in, saying, I'm enough right here, I'm enough right here, right now, showing up, going to work, picking the kids up from practice. If that's where you are, if that's the season you're in, that is enough. As long as you're happy and your cup is being filled and you're able to pour into others, but most importantly, keep your cup full, then that's honestly all that matters. So if you've been feeling lost, hear me clearly. You are still her, the girl who dreamed big, the woman with fire. She's still here. She just has new chapters to write. You're just not the girl from chapter 30. I'm not the girl from chapter 30. I'm about to be in chapter 32. So chapter 31, of course, looks different than chapter 30 did. And I'm praying chapter 32 is even better than chapter 31 was. This season, this podcast, this community is about giving ourselves permission to be both mom and woman, both soft and strong, both tired and still wildly powerful. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be able to accept where you are and take the next steps towards who you're becoming, whatever that looks like for you. Sometimes it's honestly just a day-to-day thing. Like sometimes I wake up and it's like, okay, my goal is honestly just to get through dinner. Like sometimes, when you wake up and it's like, oh, today's going to be a day. And it's like, you know what? If I can just get to dinner, then everything will be okay. Sometimes just setting short-term goals like that is a step towards who you're becoming. Just being able to be okay with and accept, okay, today's going to be a day. I either feel it in my spirit, I see it on my schedule, my kids are sick, no one's going to school today, so now I have to work from home, take conference calls at home, the kids are not happy, all the things. Everybody's day looks different, and sometimes just getting through that day is one step in the right direction. So never discount those days where even it feels like you've been stagnant all day, or it's like, well, I have this goal and I only, all I did was make it through the day. That's a step in the right direction. That's a step forward. That's a step towards who you're becoming. So here's my challenge for you going into this weekend, going into next week. Write down one thing you love about the woman you are right now, in this moment. Not the woman you were before kids, not the woman you hope to become 5 years from now, but the woman sitting here, listening to this podcast, sipping on her coffee or her wine or her mocktail. The woman right now, write down one thing you love about her. I want you to accept her, and I want you to celebrate her. That's where flourishing starts. This was the first of many unapologetic conversations we'll have here on today's M.I.L.F podcast, Mothers in Life Flourishing. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and honestly comment. Guys, I would love to hear from you. I would love to start some dialogue. I would just love to talk to you and hear from my MILFs. So come hang out with me. Let me know your thoughts. Remember, you're more than a mom. You're a whole woman. And you deserve to flourish in every season of life. Until next time, stay bold, stay unapologetic, and keep shining, MILFs. Flourish first and mother always. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.